Hello, welcome back to my channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. As you can see, finally gotten a haircut, got that bit of a laugh, you know how it is. So today, since I don't really do spooky season like everyone else on BookTube, I figured I would do my what I read in October roundup. The curse of uploading on a Saturday at 6 p.m. is you miss a lot of time to mix up when things come in or not. Nevertheless, we'll do it anyway. So, as I talked about 2 weeks ago, I've read a lot of Matthew Riley in October. So we did Ice Station, Area 7, Hell Island, Scarecrow and the Army of Thieves, or the Scarecrow books. Anyway, let me just put them down. And then, Seven Ancient Wonders. Sorry, the books are behind you. They fell over before I started recording, so I had to genie it up quickly. Six Sacred Stones. Five Greatest Warriors. The Four Legendary Kingdoms, Three Secret Cities, Two Lost Mountains, and the One Impossible Labyrinth. Yeah, so I did all of them. That was, 12 days, first 12 days of October, I think. I don't know, sort of been a blur. Yeah, it was great going back to visit old characters again, to, catch up with them again. Go on one last adventure, as it is with Jack West. But it's not the only thing I read this year, or this month. I have noticed that my reading did slow down towards the end of the month. That's because I had my last few assignments to do. And now I'm done, really, after these two exams that I have coming up next month. It's a terrifying prospect. Anyway, more reading to be done that I did. We did Everything is Broken, Life Inside Burma by Emma Larkin. I raved about Finding George Orwell in Burma earlier in the year, and this was equally as good. This takes place just after Cyclone Nargis hit, which is Burma's worst ever natural disaster and the fifth deadliest cyclone of all time. I think it was a really sobering and distressing read. It really goes into what life is like in Burma and how oppressive the government is, and they still are because they took over again this year, which is great. Yeah, if you have any interest in politics or Burma, it's a must read. And then the other bit of, there was three non-fictions. That was the first one. The second one was Paramedico by Benjamin Gilmore. Ignore that, it's a busy Saturday street. Yeah, I really like The Gap, which is about it's like an area known as The Gap up in Vaucluse in northern Sydney. And that was about his work as an Amber driver in Sydney. And this one is all about how various paramedical institutions operate around the world, like in Iceland or Macedonia or Pakistan. And it was really interesting to see the levels of preparedness and just the different ways in which it is undertaken and just done. Like in Pakistan, it's like they're 7 minutes or less. In the Iceland one, they all go to this one training school out of Philadelphia, I think. So they all come back to Iceland with Philadelphia accents. But yeah, it was really good. If you have any interest, tangentially or otherwise, in that sort of stuff, read Benjamin Gilmore. And then the third piece of non-fiction I read this month was Josh Whitcomb's new one, Watching Neighbours Twice a Day, How 90s TV Almost Prepared Me for Life. This was really interesting because I was born in 97, so I really missed a lot of the whole 90s sort of stuff. But I've got a lot of friends who are older and cousins who grew up in this time, and they really, really love the 90s. So this was a fun way to try and understand why their brains were this way. And Josh Whitcomb does it in a really fascinating style, and I think it's a really good memoir, just something a bit more lighter than I usually read. Mostly because he's a comedian, but I don't know, it was just something different, and the way that it culturally examines the impacts of television was just something you don't usually get, especially in memoir form, and that was really cool. Next up, some fiction. I will note, I had some friends around for dinner last night, and I lent a copy of a book out, and I'll talk about that now. That was Meet Me in Another Life by Katrina Sylvie. Follows these two characters called Torn and Santi, and they're stuck in the town of Cologne, and they keep meeting in these different lives. One time they meet at a party, and break into a cocktail. Another time he's her year, so she's 7, and he's a science teacher. Another time she's a really old lady, and he's a young man. And then they start to remember their past lives, and then it goes from there. It's this great reality bending. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like Matt Haig with some Andy Weir stuff chucked in, and then it reads like a Makoto Shinkai film, which is fantastic. So easy top 10 for this year for me. If you can get your hands on it, please get your hands on it. Then we also did Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I will note, this is not the book I thought it was. I thought it was going to be completely different, and I was surprised that it was this way. I really enjoyed the twist, and I really enjoyed the characterization of Eleanor, even if it took me a while to like her as a character. I read it in like a day. I went down to Wollongong, read it on the way down, finished it by the time I got back, so it's good. Yeah, I didn't expect it to go where it went, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. It's good things. Very good read. Does make me question my habits, because as I live alone, my habits are a bit sus. Next up, we have my favourite Batman comic of all time, Batman R.I.P. I don't know why I like it. It's just the Batman is Renner. It's great. I don't know, yeah, it's just one of my favourite Batman comics of all time. One of my favourite comics of all time. In general, I want to have a bigger comic section in my flat. Unfortunately, I'm quite limited for space, so it does pose a bit of a problem. Next up, we have The Coincidence Makers by Yov Bloom. Really, so pretty much when you engage with a lot of BookTube, BookTok, all that sort of stuff, it's always like dark academia or cottagecore and those sort of aesthetic vibes. And I think this book falls almost into this light academia vibes, because there are inserts of chapters. So pretty much, if like to be a coincidence maker, you do a course, right? And inserted between each few chapters or so, there's like readings from textbooks about coincidence making, or excerpts about what our main character Guy went through to be on that course. And I don't know, it was a really interesting, like a breath of fresh air, because, you know, these sort of lit fic, magical realism fic, it's almost, you get them quite dark a lot. You don't get a lot of those light, happy sort of stuff. And while there's a bit of depressing stuff in here, like, it's still really good. You know, this book is more or less the epitome of it's a good day to have a good day. I think, anyway. If you disagree with me, that's fine. That's your opinion. I respect that, man. And we did Holly Wainwright's I Give My Marriage a Year. I saw this at work a while, and I was waiting to pick it up, and I did. It was good. I needed a palate cleanser after all those Matthew Rileys. Like, I love Matthew Riley, but when you're doing them all in a row, you know, it does clog the brain, so I needed something to just reset. And this was it. Yeah, it was, you know, this Australian love story. These people have been together for a while, and their marriage is on the rocks after she has an affair, which is not something you super get. Like, what the female character, or the wife, has an affair and then tries to make the marriage work again. And I mean, maybe that's wrong. I don't read a lot of just fiction, or like general fiction, you know what I mean. Maybe it's a commentary, I don't know. But it was good, and because, you know, it was Australiana, and Sydney based, I could pretty much picture where everything was, and all the events, and yeah, it was sweet, just a bit of light stuff. And then, because I'm a huge Rangers Apprentice fan, had to do Ranger's Apprentice Escape from Falaise. What do I need to say? It's Ranger's Apprentice. I'll always say good things about Ranger's Apprentice. I think Will Treaty is one of the best characters in kids fiction, and I think that the way that Flanagan has done all this world building and this lovely warmth that he brings is just fantastic. Yeah, and hopefully, so I am halfway through this. This is Steve Garrigan's autobiography, High Hopes. I'm an absolute fanatic for Codeline, my favourite band of all time. Got this shipped in from Ireland to make sure it was a signed copy, because I don't think I'd get signed copies out in Australia. So I've got a bit of travelling to do tomorrow, and I've got a bit of spare time. And just to capitalise on the what I read in October trend, I'm guaranteeing myself, future Lewis, that I will have finished this book by the time October ends, which is tomorrow. But yeah, it's really good. I just love Codeline so much. Anyway, that's all from me for this week. Let me know what you've been reading. Let me know what you're going to read. Let me know what I should be reading, because I'm back at work now, so I can peruse the shelves, grab some stuff. Anyway, catch you up. See you next time.